So, what's up, guys? This is going to be short. It's just a part 2. Do you even remember what we talked about?
Yes.
Can you recap us?
Okay, so the rabbi and his wife, they started out, this is in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They started out like kind of practicing smaller town, and they ended up opening their own temple. And they grew the synagogue to be like one of the largest in New Jersey, something like that. The wife is very entrepreneurial. Mm-hmm. They raised a lot of money. She opened a kosher cakes.
What was it called?
Custom cake.
That was close. Real close. It starts with the C. Classic cake.
Classic cake. I knew it was a hard C. So she opened up her classic cake. She was counting thousands on the table every night at the dining room table because they were doing so well. They're still in business. The son's an EMT, and the husband walks in on her dead body, calls 911, tells the 911 person not to have the son to come because he is an EMT. And in the they didn't find any money missing. They didn't even find her wedding ring missing. They just found her pocketbook missing. They think it was a tire iron, and the daughter mentioned the bathroom guy.
That's pretty good. The bathroom man.
The bathroom man. And the husband's like maybe weirdly not upset.
Well, that's interesting that you said that he's not upset. I want to say Matthew obviously believed his father.
They were out for pizza.
Yeah,
together.
But back at the crime scene, he obviously believed his father because he's a man of God. He wouldn't kill his wife of 29 years. But he still ran over there and took a look at Fred Newlander's, his father's, clothes that he's wearing, and was relieved not to see any blood. But now, what does that tell the cops, though? That not seeing blood on his father tells Matthew that his father didn't do it.
Well, it also says he didn't try to do anything to save
There
her.
You go. So for the cops and the detectives, they look at the blood as suspect, because you didn't even kneel down and check her pulse.
She's dead.
She's dead.
It's like the episode of Bob's Burgers when they're doing the insurance fraud, you know? They didn't even go down to go check on them in the wall.
And then they shut the door behind.
Oh, my babies, my babies.
I mean, so sometimes there's some gems that come in when you're reading true crime books. And I do kind of think this was interesting because, it makes sense, but would I have thought of that if I just saw this guy with no blood on him? Would I have put that together like the detectives did? Because they look...
God, I would hope by now it'd be semi-decent at this. I don't know, 600 episodes in, you'd think maybe we wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that the husband did it, even though everyone says that the husband did it, because that's the saying. But this is what he says, Fred Newlander, when he walks in and sees his wife of 29 years dead on the floor, completely clothed, and struck 12 times in the head with a metal pipe. This is what he says.
When I walked into the foyer, I could see that she was lying on the floor, so I just threw my stuff, the green raincoat and a brown quilt bag and my keys, and I just threw it on the ground and went over to her and I just looked. And it was so repulsing and frightening to me. That's when I called 911. I didn't touch her. I don't know if I was playing in your job, Fred said to the detective, but you don't touch a body. And I don't know. I was just very, very scary for me. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to do. What I really wanted to do was to get a blanket and cover her, but I didn't.
Here's what jumped out at me. Let's say this guy did it. All right. This is what his exact quote said this. I didn't touch her. I don't know if I was playing your job. which is kind of weird to say. Now he's telling this to the detective. And then he says, quote, but you don't touch a body. Like oh yeah, I know that. Everyone knows not touch a body. A body or your dead wife? Like, let's say this happened and he really did not have anything to do with it or whatever. Or let's say you walk in and see me like this. And then you tell the detective, oh no, I didn't touch him because, you're not supposed to touch the body.
I think it's your natural, I think it's supposed to be your natural reaction to try to do something, even if if it's a loved one.
Yeah, but he refers to his wife. I know,
that's why it's suspicious.
The body, which is, to me, I don't know.
If she was so white, eyes wide open, blue lips, maybe he felt he didn't need to check. I mean, it's a good point.
Yeah, Andalyn, but I'm telling you,
if you knew for sure that they were dead, but I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a similar situation. If I walk in the door and I see that, I don't think I wouldn't not touch the body, if you will. I think even then, your natural reaction is to be like, oh my God, even if they are deceased.
This just came to my mind. This would be fucked up. What if you walked in and it was a suicide, but it was the autoerotic shit? What would your reaction be? Would you be more angry or, like Robin Williams?
Why, do you have something you need to share with class?
I'm just making a conversation. Agreed. It'd be freaking out and trying to hold my husband. Yeah, like Courtney Cleaney did.
Here we go. Free Courtney Cleaney.
All right.
But I think, yeah, I know people can grieve and react in different ways, but I do think that the natural response that you would have for someone that you care for, if it was a stranger, I would probably have a different reaction. You know what I mean? Because I'd be like, whoa, I would still probably help, but I probably, I wouldn't have that natural emotional response to be like, oh my God, this is my husband, my spouse, my
everything.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Damn it. All right, check it out. So, back at the crime scene, Fred is being interviewed by the detectives. Obviously, they're trying to console him at the same time because they don't want to make any accusations. But the one thing that they need to know right now to get this process rolling in the first 48 is, do you have any enemies? Or was there any domestic issues going on? Those two big questions, could shoot a case whatever way. Fred says, no, we had no enemies that I know of, and we have an extremely happy marriage. It wasn't?
What was it from? Schramm says, PR, Robin Williams' cause of death was not autoerotic asphyxiation. I thought it was self-inflicted.
I thought it was.
But he hanged himself, right? Yeah.
But during that.
Yeah.
It was an accident. If it's an accidental hanging for sexual, you think he died jerking? Yes, I do. That's what everyone thinks. What do you mean, come on?
We need to look this up.
That's he died. So what you do is put a towel over, I don't know, the shower thing and tie it around your neck. No, been complaining to you about this slander for a couple years now.
I got it wrong too then.
No way. Is it really say that?
I don't know. Hang on.
Dude, I am telling you right now, Shram, everybody thinks that happened. It's one of those Mandela effects.
Yeah.
He had dementia? No way.
Let's see. His death was ruled a suicide. Robin Williams.
Well, how did those rumors get started?
It was caused by asphyxia and hanging.
What documentary? People like you who spread misinformation. Dude, I'm not purposely spreading misinformation. I just don't know the correct information, which I guess, now that I think about it, is still misinformation.
Okay, here we go. There were no reflective devices or pornography near the body.
Reflective?
Yes. The investigator frankly asked if Williams had a history of autoerotic asphyxia. Mrs. Williams stated he did not. However, one person interviewed said Williams had worked on a movie years later in which his character's son accidentally died by autoerotic asphyxiation.
That's sad then, because I'm telling you, what? I've never said that I've never talked about Robin Williams.
I mean, we've definitely mentioned it once or twice before.
I probably mentioned this like 30 times if she's calling me out on it. Did you
I
see
know
the pics?
we've mentioned it before, but
I don't know.
So it says he had antidepressants, caffeine, and Parkinson's drugs in his system.
Oh, thanks for the setup. Love you too. She said thanks. By the way, epic new setup.
No idea y'all are talking about Robin Williams. All right, we just got super derailed. But I mean, hey, good to know, you know?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it says he was restless due to his Parkinson's and anxiety issues.
Damn. All right, so Fred tells the detectives, no, we had no problems in the relationship. Everything was going great. In fact, we just got back from New Jersey. We were up visiting her family. Everything was great. It was fine. This should not have happened. Now, they did ask the son, Matthew, just verify real quick. Your dad said you and him and your mom, they haven't had any domestic fighting or anything. Yeah, right? Matthew says, well, that's not true. In fact, they were going to get a divorce.
Ruh-roh.
And this is a big thing because he is a rabbi getting a divorce, and you know that's not going to look good for anybody.
It's not like against the church, though. Against, the church is the wrong word. It's not against
Yeah, I know, but
Judaism.
Yeah. So, what was that about? Well, Mom had actually called Matthew on that day that she got murdered around 4:30 p.m. to tell him that her and Fred have resolved things and were calling off the divorce. But Fred is telling the detectives that he is not getting divorced. He was never getting divorced. He's been faithful and loving for 29 years. But he's also known throughout his own congregation as sort of a playboy. People know
that is not how you should be known if you are leading a church, a religious group of people.
It's okay for a cult.
Yeah.
But not like a church.
Yeah. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a major religion. How's that?
But as we talked about, his alibi is silent. His alibi is solid. He was upbeat that night. This guy, Fred, the rabbi, walks in as the choir's practicing, and he's belting out the lyrics and high-fiving
belting out
people.
with the belchers is what it's called.
He's belting out the lyrics and high-fiving everyone, just making a show. So there's 1,000 people that can attest to his alibi. That is completely not out of the question. But there are some other congregation who refer to him kind of behind everyone's back as the holy man Casanova, the Playboy rabbi. He is always out to dinner with gorgeous women and not his wife. But this just comes with a job, right?
No, it doesn't, I believe, actually. If you're a rabbi, I think going out with other women is absolutely not part of the job. It's to read the Torah,
Yeah. All right, go ahead and read this. This is from the book Broken Vows by, I can't remember the guy's name who wrote it. Sorry. It's the book on this case.
It was an edgy but obvious inside joke to make about the silver-haired rabbi with the intense blue eyes. Fred's a real babe magnet. He's always having lunch with gorgeous women. Newlander's the Playboy rabbi. It seemed like a harmless shot. Truthfully, what were the odds?
He tells the police he was faithful, he loved his wife, and there was no problems. What he didn't mention was the ongoing affair that he has been having every day for the last year. Every day, sometimes twice a day, he would have sex with another woman. And this woman happens to be extremely famous. Well, I would say that we're all about the same age here, but if your mom and your dad grew up around the Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, the East Coast in general, they know who this person is, who he was having an affair with.
What year was this again?
This was 1994. This is this woman right here. She is a stunning redhead, slender, tall, and fearless, elegant, and she is known all around Philadelphia and the East Coast, especially on any morning commute.
Don't let the broadcaster see that I have all this makeup over here. It's filming it for convention. When is the convention? September? Oh, thanks a lot. Here, let me hide my mirror.
It's 13 past 8.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Elaine Sonsini.
Elaine Sonsini is her name, and she's now back on the radio. I will say this really didn't affect her publicity at all, because even though she knew that this guy is married. I mean, it's not like she was disgraced or anything. She's not the one married.
Not the murderer, but, you know.
She was actually sickened when she heard that she may have played a part in the murder as far as a motive, right? I want to murder my wife so I can marry this gorgeous redhead. So that is Elaine Sonsini, and she
had brown hair to me, but
she is the morning drive time show WPEN AM in Philadelphia. Every day he would eat lunch with her in her apartment. It was like huge skyrise, gated. He would have to pull his car in there so no one would see the sticker on the back. Every day at lunch, he would eat lunch with her and sometimes dinner. And at first it was because she was suffering. She was suffering. She needed the support of a strong, God-fearing man because her husband had just passed away from cancer. This girl was already a congregation member, but her husband was just diagnosed in 1992 with leukemia, and he passed really soon after that. Wow. Fred Newlander, the rabbi, officiated the funeral. So, and that's how they kind of met, right? And you can actually see how creepy this guy is, this rabbi, from how he interacts with people who are suffering.
Sonsini was a Catholic and Garland a Jew, but their unconditional love for each other was captured in the words of their favorite Cole Porter song, the one that mentions 1 and 1 becoming 2. Sonsini would sing the words softly as Garland died in a Cherry Hill hospital room with Garland's son Doug by her side. In the room, watching silently as Garland passed away, was Rabbi Fred Newlander. "I want to help you," Sonsini remembered the strong and handsome rabbi saying as he wrapped his powerful arms around her that afternoon. "Let me comfort you."
That's kind of fucked up. I mean, he just wanted to bang her, you know what I'm saying? So, a little more about that, then we're going to move on. This isn't going to be that long. I mean, you pretty much know the husband had something to do with it. He didn't actually kill her himself, but he had hired 2 people to do it. If you remember when Carol was on the phone with her daughter, she had mentioned that there were 2 people.
Yes, the bathroom guy.
The bathroom man and one of his friends is kind of what she said. Anyway, for this, the Elaine Sonsini aspect is the motive. Husband hires someone to kill wife because he wants to be with this radio host who is not only really successful, but she's got that clout everywhere. She's really well known. Everyone loves her. I mean, she's invited to all these banquets. She's always on the news. Like, he wanted that, even though he had his own thing and he was famous in his own realm, you know, he still wanted more. When he presented himself to me, there was a sweetness about him, a civility about him, and intelligence and compassion and understanding, and all those qualities that you look for in a human and spiritual leader, Sonsini would tell the Philadelphia Inquirer years later. She called the sex between them heart-stopping goosebumps, take off your clothes in the hallway and go right upstairs.
Wow, good for you guys.
And
again, that's like any, early relationships,
Mm-hmm. They would have, I put this in my notes. How funny is this, Shram? They would have sex like rabbis. They would even do it at church in his office. Having sex like rabbis. Maybe that wasn't as funny as I thought. And then I just kept going with it. Rabbi rabbit sex. Tell the joke about the rabbit. Did you? And then I scroll down and it says, "Did you forget to tell the joke?"
Wolfie gets it. Wolfie gets it. Thank you. All
right. So Elaine eventually admitted to the affair. And when she did, now the whole congregation had his back at first. They didn't think this guy was. They believed him. He actually hired his own private investigator right off the bat to try to find out who did this. But
sneaky Bible humping like rabbis.
but as soon as Elaine admitted to the affair, then you started seeing.
Oh yeah, everyone's like, dude.
Well, not only that, yeah, everyone's like, nuh-uh, but also you have other women coming up. Yeah, we were having sex too, sometimes at the Red Roof Inn.
This guy's got quite the sexual appetite.
Sometimes at marriage counseling sessions. Jesus Christ. I
Do we have a picture of what this guy looked like in 1994?
Yeah. Do you know?
I don't remember if you showed it.
All right, let me show you.
I'm like, was this guy like super attractive? Like, I'm just.
I mean, no,
lost
he was
on
just
me. Charismatic.
But he's a powerful figure.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't get it though. I really don't. Anything that has to do with religion to me is like completely unattractive.
You have to tell me you would bang this dude.
That's what he looked like in 1994?
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop
Can you imagine this dude taking you to the Red Roof Inn? Holy shit.
Honestly, I was like waiting for it. I was waiting for it because we've talked about this. You're like, all right, well, what if the guy that's whistling at you looks like Ryan Gosling? Then what? I'm thinking, well, maybe this rabbi looks like Ryan Gosling, and maybe I feel very differently. I do not feel differently at all.
I mean, this guy maybe. This is the reporter that was on the case, but
yeah, more likely at least.
Yeah, no shit.
But no.
Yeah, you know what? This guy looks more like a Bernie Madoff type. Like he looks like he's involved in a Ponzi scheme, doesn't he?
Yeah, I see it.
But no, this guy is literally banging all of his congregation, the women,
like multiple times a day.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Sexual.
He's an addict. He's a sex addict.
Well, they say when you get older, you get your testosterone jumps up because, like, when you're 35 to now, your testosterone is super low. But that's why they call it old man strength. Have you ever seen like an old guy be able to lift something ridiculous, like he was 18 or some shit? That's what it is called, because your testosterone just shoots up. Testosterone just shoots up. That's why I can have babies on my deathbed. I could shoot some sperm and impregnate a female on my deathbed. That's the power of a man.
I think you should get your tubes done.
Fuck that. You ain't taking my shit away. I need it. It's going through my veins. I could feel it going through my veins.
You said you would get a vasectomy.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, it's all on me. He says I haven't seen him lift, but he can definitely pull.
So Fred, I'm gonna tell you, he hired someone to kill his wife for the motive of to get Elaine Sonsini. But he did hire a private investigator, and this was actually really smart to do. And I wonder who else has kind of done this, if anyone recently in the news. But if you murder your wife, or you commissioned it or whatever, and then you hire a private investigator of your own, it makes you look pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good diversion tactic.
Yeah. So
until like all the women came forward.
Yeah. So this is the private investigator that was hired. Now this guy went to Bentley, that old camera right there. This is Leonard Jenoff, or Len Jenoff. That's the private investigator that Fred Newlander hired. So anyway, a little bit about him. He was all about proclaiming Fred's innocence. He's sort of an oddball, though. He's not Jewish at all. He just kind of fell into the congregation because his earlier life was so stressful that he's kind of had some hard times lately. So Fred took him into the congregation. He didn't have to pay his dues and stuff like that, and they became friends. And then he's like, hey, I know you need money. I want you to find out who killed my wife. This guy is sort of an oddball, but he's got the experience. He served in Vietnam with the CIA. All right. He did do some top secret government work, not just in the CIA, but sort of like James Bond type stuff. He is the one who brought up that this was a, quote, possibly organized crime hit. Perhaps the, quote, Russians are Israelis. That's all I can say, is what he told a reporter. He claimed that this looked like a robbery, and that's what it had to be. He was the one going to bat for this guy, right? Mm-hmm. And he said that Fred was, quote, guilty as sin on cheating on Carol, but, quote, there's no evidence he hired anybody to kill his wife. They have no case. He's innocent. All right, I'm just going to kind of get this out the way. This private investigator is the bathroom man.
Okay.
He hired the guy.
I actually did not see that coming.
Maybe
I should have.
Well, I don't want this to take all night. He hired the guy who killed his wife to find out who killed his wife. Now, this guy did not serve in the CIA. He did not do all this James Bond stuff, special forces, like he always tells people. He was a cook in the Army. He never even deployed. And he is a raging alcoholic with a failed marriage. That is who this guy is. He has no experience as a PI at all. He is just a washed up loser who wanted to make 30 grand. Because that's how much the commission hit was.
Wow.
So he...
In 30 grand in 1994?
1994, yeah. His wife died. This was 1994 when this happened. The first arrest would not be made until May 1st, 2000. And that's when they arrested the private investigator / bathroom man. He... Despite all his CIA training and all this stuff, which was all just a lie. Actually, what's funny is the CIA, if you know this name, Mark Mansfield, I think he's still the CIA spokesman. He came out and said, quote, "We normally don't comment, but we decided to part from that policy. In this case, this individual has never been employed by the CIA." But he told everyone. And he told everyone he was a secret agent, which that defeats the purpose of being a secret agent.
Agent man. Well,
you're not a secret anymore.
Are you allowed
to
to say it when you're retired? Is that the deal?
Nah, I don't know. I'm not a secret agent anymore. Anyway, he was arrested on May 1st because he had a guilty conscience, and he came forward and confessed to a local reporter everything that happened. He gives himself up, takes a plea deal, also gives his roommate up, a Paul Michael Daniels, the other guy that was there. Lynn Jenoff, the bathroom man, ex-CIA Vietnam hero, Medal of Honor recipient, all this stuff he would tell people. So I'm not going to get into the trial at all, but it actually is really difficult to decide who is lying. Because at this point, now Fred is accused of hiring Lynn Jenoff to kill his wife, and Fred is not admitting it. He says, "No, I didn't hire. I had no idea." But you had the bathroom man who says he did, but he's also saying that he was in the CIA and and running and a Medal of Honor recipient. Like, he is a known liar. Yeah. So how can you believe him? Would you believe him over a rabbi? You know what I'm saying? So the first trial was a mistrial because of that. They didn't know who to believe.
Jenoff had begun to unravel psychologically almost from the first moment of the murder. He had told all kinds of people what a tough character he was. He had implied that he had been trained in all sorts of dark arts involving spycraft and espionage. To hear him tell it, he was the next best thing to James Bond. But the simple truth was that killing Carol Newlander had tormented his soul.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
This guy had lost his marriage, was an alcoholic. He really didn't have anything to look forward to. So, a little bit more about this guy. This guy, people were believing his lies. He was actually teaching, despite not having an education himself, at Rutgers University, lecturing students in political science and telling them, or walking through the process of training for a top secret mission that he has no idea.
This guy's crazy.
I know. He had a signed photo of himself with Ronald Reagan that said, quote, "a loyal friend and comrade in arms," end quote. When they finally got that photo and started scrutinizing it, they noticed a discrepancy between the former president's handwriting and the signed picture. Yes, he did get his picture made with probably everyone else that day, but he also forged the president's signature.
That feels about right.
Isn't that crazy? He served in the military as a cook, and he never left the U.S. So before the murder, this is what he says. Okay, he says, "Yes, I killed Carol Newlander, and yes, Fred did put me up to this." And this is another reason why people didn't believe him, because Fred came up to him and said that he needed to hire someone to kill his wife, Carol, because she was a, quote, enemy of Israel and needed to die for the Jewish state. So this is what he's saying. It's all like just kerfluffle, but he's putting this out and no one's believing it at all. The truth is he hired him to kill his wife, and maybe he mentioned that at first, that he was she was an enemy of Israel or whatever, but it became painfully obvious that, okay, this person that he wants me to kill was his wife. So that is, now going back to the murder night, I'm going to read this. This is from the book, and this is how it happened. The bathroom man goes to deliver another package. It happened to be an envelope. It had nothing in it. It was just a decoy. And she actually says, "What? There's nothing in this envelope." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I must have forgot it." And then right after that, takes a metal pipe. She walks to the kitchen. He grabs her shoulder and hits her once with the metal pipe. She falls down. She starts screaming, "Why? Why are you doing this?" At the same time, he goes out of the front door and calls out to his roommate, who was also involved in the murder, who was hiding in the bushes, apparently, waiting, to run in. And he's the one that finishes the job. They hit her about 12 times on the head, and she lays there and dies and chokes on her own blood. And that is basically what happened. And as we know from doing headlines, the husband just died in prison.
I was trying to remember why he was in the headlines.
Yeah, he just died in prison, and he maintained his innocence till he died. So that's the story. It was supposed to be a short story, but I mean,
it was a great story.
I just kind of pegged the surface on a lot of it, but it is pretty interesting though, because I know not to us, because it was like not before our generation, but like 1994. I was 10, and plus what also happened in 1994, right? What did the OJ thing?
There's a lot of stuff that happened in 1994.
So it was like, busy, and then 2000 Millennium came out. But your parents know this story, I can promise you. Especially your mom. She definitely knows the story.
Yeah, we'll have to ask her.
This was definitely on Nancy Grace in 1994, because she was still doing her thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I want to do some more episodes this week, dude. I'm going to get on it. I'm going to look in the case requests. We're going to do ones that are hitting the headlines, because I find those fascinating, because I know no one else is doing them. At least now, I'm hitting them first because I'm seeing them first.
Pew, pew.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. So we'll be back tomorrow for some more headlines, and we'll see you then.
Kind of run this shit.